Welcome everybody from Paris. Here's a brief introduction to your worldwide online Digital Media Pro Challenge. We've got corporate teams this week from Australia, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, and right here in France. Thank you for taking part. We're going to start right away with a quick look at the simulation login screen. You should by now have received an email with the link, your pack or your login information, as well as your team password. This is the home screen. You can see it's broken down into three categories: prepare, analyze, and decide. Prepare, this simply replicates the user guide we sent you via PDF, via email. The analyze screens contains a variety of information on your market, your consumers, and your competition. We're not going to spend a lot of time on these screens, but we advise that you take a deep look at the information available here. Last but not least, you have a number of screens dedicated to the decisions you need to take each year in the simulation challenge. But let's start off with a little reminder as to what your mission is. You are competing in the cutthroat energy drinks market. You are tasked to define and execute a media strategy for your brand, Mojo. And your objective? Drive your brand Mojo to undisputed market leadership. So how are you going to measure your success? Firstly, by your performance on the Purchase Funnel Index. So how well can you move consumers from awareness to preference and purchase intention? And once you've got people interested in buying, how will you move them from purchase intention to actual purchase, retention, and loyalty? So that's a Purchase Funnel Index. Your mission is to increase the conversion rate along this funnel. Secondly, we're going to evaluate you on your performance on financials. We call this the OPI, or Overall Performance Index. This takes into account financials, as I mentioned, your contribution or your improved profit, your gains in terms of sales, and market share. Those are the KPIs. So both elements are taken into account. So what does your market look like? We're talking about around 300 million people. And unlike most of our world today, it is stable economically and politically as a market. You have three regions: urban, rural, and tourism, each with a different population mix, different market growth rates, and varying seasonal demand. You are extremely lucky, folks. You're in a high growth market. We are projecting a growth rate of over 50% in the next 5 years. So, incremental product improvements are anticipated, but we don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be really market disruptive in the next 5 years. So you think there's no reason you couldn't succeed? Well, the question is, how well will you succeed compared to your global competitors? Let's move on to our consumers. Again, this replicates the information we provided with you via email. Your market is segmented by generation: Generation Z, or Z for our American friends, Millennials, and Generation X. Take a look at the descriptions. Your consumer groups have different needs, different media habits, and different market growth trends. So after that little reminder, why don't we look at the decisions you need to take? Basically, 4 decisions. First, we're calling the content powerhouse, media objectives, media strategy, media plan, and you have an optional forecasting tool. Let's start off with the content powerhouse. This is about developing consumer insights. It's really the heart of your strategy. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you have sources of insights for your 3 consumer segments on the market. So how are you best going to be able to find insights related to your consumers? So if you really wish to know your Generation Z consumers better, what do you need to do? Well, you need to invest in social listening. In other words, taking a look as to what's happening on your social networks. Over to the left, bottom left, as you get more informed, as you get to know your consumers better, we have a Consumer Insights Quality Index, which kind of tracks your level of expertise on your consumers. In terms of the decision you need to take, basically it comes down to your budget and how you're going to split amongst the three consumer groups on the market. So here we boosted the budget to $600 million for social listening, and we're going to put half that money in Generation Z and the remainder in millennials and Generation X. So social listening, data analytics, this is about big data, creativity. These are more about traditional market studies, traditional insight generation via focus groups, etc. If you wish to have a little reminder as to what these terms means, simply move your mouse over the term and you'll have a tooltip which will explain things in more detail. Speaking of help, if you wish a little reminder as to how to use the screen and the decisions you need to take, simply click on Useful Tips. They're available in all the decision screens in the simulation. So that's the content powerhouse. Let's move on to your media objectives. So you'll be setting media objectives, communication objectives, to boost specific areas of the purchase funnel. You need to set objectives by region, urban, rural, and tourism. You can set primary or first objective as well as a second objective. So your first objective allocates about 60% of your budget towards this objective, and the secondary objective, obviously, the remaining 40%. You have different categories, or you have different elements, rather, of the purchase funnel which you can target. Again, if you wish a reminder as to what terms like awareness, interest means, you can simply select Useful Tips to read about it or consult the user guide we sent you earlier. So that's a brief look at our media objectives. Let's move on to your media strategy decisions. You can conduct a national campaign which hits the entire country. The budget will be automatically split amongst the three regions. Of course, you need to make a decision as to what the overall budget will be. You can also break down and have a strategy, or rather a plan, for urban, rural, and tourism. You can allocate specific media for each of these campaigns. The default will split these automatically evenly, but here you can take a more granular approach to your decision and decide what kind of traditional media you wish to use. We strongly recommend that you be consistent with your consumers' media habits, and that you try to anticipate and think about how your consumers' media habits will evolve from year to year. Moving on to the media plan. This is an optional decision you can take, again, for those teams who wish to go a little bit further in their strategic and tactical decisions. You can decide to split your budget in your year, either by semester, by quarter, or by month. So here, for example, if you wish to take a seasonal approach and wish to focus on a particular season, you can choose to do so, and your budget, your resources will be allocated as appropriate. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see some expected events over the next year, the upcoming year, which you could take into consideration as you make your budget allocation decision. So those are the four primary decision levers. A quick look at the forecasting tool, where you can get a rough estimate of your projected contribution for the following year. At the top, you'll see your estimated market share amongst the three consumer segments. So if I'm feeling pretty ambitious and pretty excited about Generation Z, I might target 60%, and you can see that the numbers will automatically be updated on your estimated company P&L for the following year. If you wish to revert back to last year's actual values, simply click to return to those figures. So those with a more financial bent, thinking about the bottom line, may wish to spend some time on this screen. A few last points before we move on. Oh, we've lost our connection. No problem. We're just going to reconnect. Bear with us, folks. It's a very sunny day here in Paris. I hope that you're having beautiful weather wherever you may be in the world. We're going to hit 27 degrees today. Hey, and we're back. And we're back. So, a few quick points before we get to running your decisions. The icon on the top right hand of the screen, you can export your decisions, your data to Excel. If you wish to take a closer look at the simulation information, you can do that. If you look at the dollar sign at the top left-hand corner, you can see a summary of your budget. On the left-hand column, you have your allocated budget. Your budget is allocated from the results you had from last year. This is just purely for information only. The main thing you need to pay attention here is the middle column. This is the expenses you've incurred from your current decisions. As you make decisions in the simulation, these figures will be updated. But perhaps the most important piece of information here is your exceeded or remaining budget, particularly that last line. This indicates that you have $2.5 million left to spend. This number needs to be 0 or in positive or green before you submit your decisions. Otherwise, you will get an error and cannot submit your decisions in the simulation. Last but not least, you have a screen which indicates any errors or warnings you have. You need to correct any errors you may have, such as what I mentioned, overspending on your budget, before you can run the simulation. As well, for example, you need to give yourself a team name before you can submit your decision. So once you've cleared that, here we have no errors or warnings, you can hit run. Once you've hit run, the simulation model will run. You will get results on how well you did or how maybe less positively you did in the upcoming year. So you can take a look at your company results. You'll also have updated information on the market and to what your consumers, in terms of consumer habits, what your competitors did on the market, for you to begin that analysis and decision process again for the following year. So that is a very quick summary of the analysis and decisions you need to take in the Digital Media Pro Challenge. We wish you best of luck. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a line in the email we provided you earlier this week. Best of luck, more information to come. Take care. Bye-bye.